The views and opinions expressed in this show do not represent those of Cal State Fullerton, the College of Health and Human Development, or the Kinesiology program.
Ready, aim, fire.
Welcome to Kinesiology 101, the podcast for kinesiology majors by kinesiology majors. Every week we bring you a new and exciting guest with tons of knowledge and experience both in and outside of the classroom here at Cal State Fullerton. We're back here at Kinesiology 101. I'm your host, Jose. Co-hosting today, Luis Geronimo.
We're here with Dwayne.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Dwayne, he's our guest for today. Dwayne is a good guy, a good friend of mine. He's doing a lot, so I figured let's bring him onto the podcast, have him talk about it, share his experiences. I know you pretty well, Dwayne. Can you just talk about yourself a little bit more?
Yeah, definitely. I'm growing up in Southern California pretty much my whole life. I grew up as an athlete. I played baseball for quite a while. Played at Irvine Valley College for about 6 months, almost a year. Ended up having to have both my shoulders operated on, so kind of tried to look at different avenues of where I wanted to go. Athletic training seemed to be one of the better ways for me to help people and hopefully be able to help people accomplish their dreams. Something I wasn't able to do just due to injury. So, outside of that, what else do you guys want to know about me?
Why did you choose kinesiology and not athletic training? Was it because of your injuries? You figured out it's something that I kind of want to go into. It's pretty cool, help other people recover from injury, or?
Looking at it, I came in originally into college as a kinesiology student.
Uh-huh.
I was told by one of my professors that if you go into kinesiology, the only way to get any sort of good paying job was to go into a master's program. I was like, well, I don't really know if I want to go to a master's program, so maybe I'll look at a different avenue that was related to kinesiology, but isn't exactly kinesiology. And so after my injury, I just kind of kept looking around. I was looking at PT. I was looking at personal training for a little bit. Took a couple classes in that aspect. And then when I was at Irvine Valley, I got hooked up with the athletic trainers there, Janet Olson, Devin Adams. And they just kind of helped me find my way. Mm-hmm. And then pretty much just went from there. So
yeah, I think for the most part, that's kind of how everybody is, including myself, Jose. Mm-hmm. I come in, we're all previous athletes. We're in this major because we love sports. You come in here, you're not sure what you want to do. You're just like, I like sports, let me just do this. You're young, you don't know, you just kind of run with the flow, and you just kind of find out afterwards. Cool.
Yeah, I remember I first met Dwayne in 351, Kinesiology 351. And there was a few athletic trainers in that class, so I figured, okay, these guys I want to be friends with because they know their stuff. Yeah. In case I get hurt, I could always go to them. But then, unlike a lot of athletic trainers, and this is something we could dive into, you went ahead and followed the strength and conditioning track that you're in now.
Yeah.
Can you just talk a little bit more about how you went ahead and went straight into strength and conditioning?
So my first year, I was more focused strictly on athletic training, and I was trying to actually get into a post-professional grad program for athletic training. And I started looking at it and started working actually with their cousin a lot, Rick Becker.
What's up, Rick?
Shout out to Rick. And we had been talking, and he was very big into strength, and he was very big into rehab, and the philosophies that he had for rehab were a lot more set with strength conditioning, not typical like physical therapy settings. And so I kind of connected onto that, and then when I took 351, the same class with Jose, I ended up kind of falling in love with the aspect of strength conditioning, found out about powerlifting, started, you know what, if I want to train, I might as well put some weight on my back and squat a bunch of weight. So that's kind of how I started getting into it. And then after taking 450, I got even more interested in it. Started researching a lot more about like Westside Barbell, different powerlifting outlets. So Elite FTS is something else that I read a lot on. And it's pretty much where I went from there. I just kind of, it started here. My love started with back with spring semester when I worked with Rick, started liking that strength conditioning route, so I just kind of followed it and try to utilize as much as I can in the athletic training setting and try to take care of people in a little bit different of a style than a lot of ATs would. But.
Yeah, so 450 is program design for you guys listening. And for that class, I also had you, we're in the same class together. And I feel like program design, even though it kind of tailors to a lot of people who are going to be training athletes or just the general population, for somebody like yourself who's working with athletes, at least now here on campus, the student athletes in athletic training, was there like an overlap between that class and how you're putting it into practice with your
to
job?
a degree. A lot of the concussion protocols, like return to play and stuff like that, involve some aspect of conditioning, some aspect of we need to get your heart rate up to a certain degree and make sure that you're not feeling like your concussion symptoms come back on, and then we can continue to progress you. So I just kind of took a lot of, like anytime I was running it, say either like a high school or at a junior college was where we predominantly saw the concussions. That's what we're dealing with a lot of football players. I would try to incorporate a lot of like high intensity intervals into their training because it was like, well, that's one of the best ways to get your heart rate up, and you're not going to have a lot of rest in between. So let's try and jack up your heart rate there and see if your symptoms come back. If they do, then we regress you. If they don't come back, then guess what? We progress you, and then we can start working you back into contact. So for me, that was more the aspect. For rehab, it's a little bit harder because for rehab, it's more like what we're doing, especially if you just got hurt. It's more like proprioceptive kind of stuff that you try to get back first. And then when you start getting into strengthening, it's much more, single joint exercises. So you're not doing typically a lot of squats, stuff like that. You're doing more core exercises, a lot of flexibility work. That's what a lot of people end up losing. And then say it's a strained hamstring. Well, one of the first things you're going to start strengthening is their actual flexion of their knee. So it wasn't entirely like overall the strength training aspect of it wasn't really directly related, at least at first in the rehab. You can progress them later as you get by, but you can see a little bit of overlap in both. So,
typical day as an athletic trainer, what can they expect as far as workload and study material and all that stuff?
Typically, for the week, Katie is the one who establishes. I can't remember exactly what it stands for. Dr. K is going to kill me right now. But they kind of established the curriculum for athletic training, and like they provide guidance for the hours that you have in the athletic training room. So they kind of limit your hours to about 20 hours a week. Occasionally you can go over that. Just depends on what your situation is and how you want to deal with the team. But usually it depends on when the team practices. For me this year, I had men's soccer in the fall. So I was working with the men's soccer team. So I would usually show up about 7:30 just to get ready for class. Out of class, I'd go right to the athletic training room. We'd start their treatments, then we get them out to practice. Post-practice, come on in. We start doing some of their post-practice treatments. So for the most part, if you're assigned with a team, they don't really, especially at the last semester, one of your last 2 semesters, they don't really enforce that you end up working with a lot of other teams. I took it on myself to kind of help with track just because track didn't really have too much help with athletic trainers. It's kind of like an athletic training by committee. We had a lot of turnover this year. So it kind of made it hard for them. So I'd stay a couple extra hours. So I was putting in probably between 25 and 30 hours a week in the athletic training room on top of my classes. So,
that's the time that you're spending in the classroom on campus. Did you also get to travel with the teams?
I got to go down to San Diego with them twice, and then they took me down to the Irvine game when we played them for the Big West Championship.
Which they won, right?
Yeah, they ended up winning that Big West Championship.
Healthy, yeah.
Did our best, brother. Did our best.
Nice. Awesome. I know the athletic training program here is very competitive. So is every athletic training student assigned to a team or some kind of person to work with? Is that why it's so kind of competitive, whereas they try to expose each student to some kind of practical setting that they can apply it to?
Yeah, for the most part, that's kind of covers it. I know Dr. Kersey likes kind of his philosophy. I mean, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it's essentially produce quality athletic trainers, not quantity athletic trainers. Yeah. So if we have 6 to 8 kids that come in and each fall, then those 6 to 8 kids can be the best athletic trainers they can be versus, no offense to any schools that happen to have like 30 to 40 athletic training students, but the amount of time that's spent between teachers and the athletic training students is a little bit better than the mass majority that have, like the 30 to 45 kids in their programs. And then kind of the way that they set it up, so pretty much your first year here, you have four different rotations. So they do 2 8-week rotations in the fall, 2 8-week rotations in the spring. Coming into the fall of your third semester, they end up sending you off campus because we don't have football here. Your third semester is pretty much your football rotation. So they send you to high school for 8 to 10 weeks, send you to a junior college. Mount Sac is the one we've been working with for a while. You do that for about 8 weeks. And then coming back in the spring, it's a little bit different. So we have what you call your, Dr. Sang's calling your capstone experience. The students still refer to as their leads. And what they'll do is either your 4th or your 5th semester, you'll be assigned to a specific preceptor, but you'll be assigned to that preceptor the entire time. So say for me, I was working with, Yoichiro. He is the athletic trainer that I was working with the fall. So I worked with him pretty much all through the fall. Whereas if I was 2 years ago, I would have only worked 8 weeks with him. So I was able to stay with the team the entire 16 weeks, which is freaking awesome because then I got to see him go down. They end up going to the first round of playoffs and kind of got a rough draw on that last 2 minutes. But, that's pretty much how it ends up setting up. And then if you don't get your lead or your capstone, you end up doing a round of PT. And then I believe they're sending them to another high school now. I believe it's the new rotation. So that's pretty much how it's kind of set up right now. Cool. And so if you have a very few amount of people, it's easier to work with that versus a bigger amount of people. So it's like, there are a couple different ideas behind why they're so small, but it definitely helps in the aspects of the way it's set up. So
as far as the classes go, what's like a typical schedule like for a first semester athletic training student here at the program?
Well, if I could go back to my first semester, I would have loaded up on classes. Right. My first semester, coming in, I was kind of nervous, a little bit timid coming in, being like, oh, I'm coming from a junior college to university. This is going to be hard as hell. Like, it's just going to be rough. Yeah. And then I got here and, I mean, it wasn't easy, but I definitely overplayed how dramatic it was going to be. Yeah. And so I took a bunch of, I don't want to say easy classes, but for the most part, they weren't too challenging of classes. But I also am a pretty decent student. If I sit in a class and I hear a teacher talk, I'll probably be able to pass that class without having to study too much. Like, that's just kind of how I've always been. So for me, I would have loaded up classes. It would just depend on how you are as a student. But the first semester, usually you don't really have too much responsibility in the clinic. So that's why I would say if I were you coming in, try to load up on your classes and get whatever classes that you can out of the way now. That way, when it comes down to the final semester, you're not in my situation where I'm taking 2 of my upper level general education classes. So, I mean, it's cool. I am taking 470, but, which is, Kinesiology nutrition. But, you know, I'm taking 2 upper level GE classes. No offense, I'm kind of spent on school, but it makes it a little more rough taking those upper level Gs at the very end. Whereas if I could have knocked them out in the first semester, this semester would have been a lot easier to get through. Yeah, definitely. But that's just my thoughts on it.
When you say you took easy classes, you're talking about GEs, I'm assuming, or electives, right?
No, they were more really low 300 classes. I took movement anatomy 260.
Okay. Just the ones you need for just
pretty much just one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And
so
for me, like,
you're not taking political science like some of us?
No.
None of that stuff? All right.
I mean, I think you took care of that back in college, right?
I came in with my JC. I was like, all my GEs are knocked out, so I'll just come in. I started right off the bat with the classes that I needed. And I mean, I think I took two anatomy classes, I think, my first semester. And I've had probably, at my junior college, I probably had like 6 different types of anatomy courses. So coming in, I'm like, well, this is just a review now. Like, cool. So it ended up working out because it ended up solidifying a lot of that information for me. So I guess I shouldn't call them easy classes. They were just more review because I've already had a lot of background in it. Because the aspects that I was looking at getting into, I didn't want to transfer to university and not know what I wanted to do. So when I was at the junior college, I was like, I know I want to do something that has to do with the body. So whatever class I can take where I can learn something different, let's take it. Let's try and take it. So
exactly.
When I came in with a good amount of background of the anatomy. So when I came in to my anatomy courses in the fall, it just became a review. And the second semester kind of challenged me a little bit more because it started delving into okay, yes, your hamstring does X and Y, but this is the injury. How does it happen? How can we prevent this injury? So that's when it became more of a applicable setting for me where, okay, I can take this information and use it in the athletic training setting. So for me, my second semester was a semester I was like, hell yeah, dude, let's get this going. Yeah. So
every semester, would you get to choose the classes you're taking? Is there a cap on the units you can take within the athletic training program?
I want to say the university caps it.
Okay.
So it's 16? Like a 16 or 17 units, something like that. Usually Dr. Kersey, if you're adamant that you want to take 18 units and Dr. Kersey thinks he can help you out, or that you can handle it, he'll usually help you out and give you like one of those cap waivers.
Okay.
But the way that it's set up is Dr. Kersey breaks down like where the electives that you need to take. He breaks them down. You might want to think about taking it this semester, this semester, this semester. Okay. But then there are other classes where it's like uppers, lowers. Those are only offered at certain times. So it's like definitely. You are taking this in the fall, you are taking this in the spring. So when you looked at it, if there were 25 classes I had to take, I think, I'm just throwing a number off the top of my head. I can't remember how many classes I had to take.
Yeah.
But probably about 15 of those were kind of designated, okay, you're taking them at this time just because that was really the only time that they were offered. So,
and these were athletic training classes that you needed to for your athletic training bachelor's, or
yeah. So it was like uppers, lowers, your competencies class. So whatever you have to take a proficiencies class. So they'll give you a list of things that you have to be proficient at.
Okay.
You have to talk to your preceptors, do some research, read about it, and then you kind of present to. The way they do it now, you present to whoever your clinical coordinator is. So right now, Dr. Sang. So you present to him the information that you got. And then if he deems that you're competent in that situation, he'll end up signing you off and he'll put on the computer that you're competent. So.
Cool. So besides all the athletic training classes, what are the classes would you recommend to an upcoming athletic trainer that wants to join the program that you find kind of benefited you in your career and that are applicable to athletic training?
Yeah, I think 450 and 470 are the two biggest classes that I would say. If I was an athletic training student coming up, I would definitely get involved in that. I think I don't want to speak to all athletic trainers because I haven't met all the athletic trainers. But there's some aspects of athletic training that I feel there's a little bit of a disconnect between strength conditioning and athletic training. Yeah. So I think that if you take a class where you start to get to understand, okay, periodization, and you can start getting that dialogue with the strength conditioning individuals, the athlete can start getting even better care. So you can be like, hey, listen, I progressed them to here, here, and here. Can I pass them off to you now, into the strength conditioning? Or do I need to regress them still because they end up re-injuring themselves? Yeah. So for me, I think the athletic training and strength conditioning should be more, should go more hand in hand than they do right now. But that's just my opinion. And then for the nutrition class, I think a lot of people think they know a lot about nutrition, but I feel like not many people know a lot about nutrition. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Completely understand. Yeah.
I don't know jack about nutrition. So I'm like, eat vegetables, eat some meat. Right. You'll be good.
You're good.
eat more food that comes from the earth, and you're probably going to be healthier than if you eat a bunch of processed food. But that's just my take on nutrition, and I think that's my very simplified version of nutrition.
Yeah. And that's 470 that you're mentioning. I think in 351 we also got a little insight as to the nutrition, the supplements, and how we've been, I guess, scammed.
Yeah, essentially.
It's all a lie.
It's kind of like a tease to get your feet wet, and then once you take 470, you're like, okay. I remember you talking about this in 351.
Yeah. So it's cool. Speaking of supplements, taking, I think it was 451, I believe, is sports medicine.
And I'm taking that right now,
That class, at the end of that class, you start talking about supplements, a little bit about steroids, just different aspects of like the pharmacology department. I guess you can kind of call supplements pharmacology. But he was talking about how a lot of supplements are mislabeled because nobody regulates them. There's almost no regulation about supplements. So you have to really do your research. I mean, you could go to like nsf.com. They usually have some pretty good stuff on what supplements are good to take.
Right.
But even that's more like looking at, okay, they didn't lace their protein with some sort of anabolic steroid. You're probably safe to take this and pass a drug test. But supplements. I'd be very wary about supplements. I've definitely started to look harder and look more carefully at the supplements I'm taking to make sure that I'm not like, I don't want to be crossing any lines.
Yeah.
So
especially if you're buying them from like Walmart or CVS.
Oh, yeah.
They've been on the news like so many times lately.
Costco too.
Right?
Yeah, all those big places. Yeah.
Yeah, I would be very wary about where you get your supplements from. But I mean, supplements are fine. They're good to legitimately supplement your diet. Mm-hmm. So if you're using the supplements as your diet, then there's an issue.
Definitely.
I think that's kind of funny, but
as an athletic trainer, do you have any input as far as supplements go, working with the student athletes?
I would just say for the student athletes, especially like the big sport, baseball's a big sport here. When you make it to NCAAs, they drug test everybody, and they drug test everybody for anabolic steroids. Yeah. Our drug tests here, I believe, really only look for like illegal drugs in terms of like weed and stuff like that. So I would just say be careful about what you're taking. So I would definitely look at like NSF, National Sanitation Foundation, I believe is what it's called. Because they look at, okay, if you're taking this way, it's approved by NSF, so it was tested at this time. Yeah. At this time, it did not have some sort of steroid in it. Right. You probably safe taking this. But anytime you take supplements, especially when you're in a position to get tested, it's a sketchy world. Just be careful about what you're taking and understand what you're taking. Yeah. That would be my biggest thing. Just be wary, especially when you have the opportunity to get drug tested. So.
Yeah. So having said that, what are you on right now?
Right now, I'm just taking some like generic protein,
okay.
Just from GNC. I have creatine monohydrate, beta-alanine. I'm taking a pre-workout just because I like that little caffeine kick, taurine kick. But that's essentially all I'm on right now. Haven't moved to the world of actual steroids yet. And I don't really plan on that.
Yeah. So I think last summer, Luis and I, we were going to school here to take a class, sports nutrition, but we weren't enrolled, right? Yeah, we were just dropping in, taking notes, learning about it, and afterwards we would drop by the weightlifting club. Mm-hmm. So we have the weightlifting club here on campus, and I think they're year round. Yeah. I would see you there working out a lot last summer.
Yeah, that's when we got that crazy video of you front squatting. We'll upload it so people listening can check it out.
Oh, for sure.
I remember always seeing you there, working out, and then they had the Max Out Fridays, and you didn't, skip a beat. You're always there.
I love Max Out Fridays.
Can you talk a bit more about how you got into the weightlifting club, how your interest in the sport of weightlifting probably came about?
Yeah. So, pretty much I'd seen the flyers for the weightlifting club. I'd met a couple people from the weightlifting club. Anna Rodriguez was the first one that I met that was in the weightlifting club, so I'd ask her a bunch of questions about it. And she's like, yeah, you should stop by, but I never really had time. My focus was more on athletic training, and so all my hours were spent there. So I was like, I'm going home, I'm going to sleep.
Yeah.
So, I started actually lifting pretty much because I started gaining a little bit too much weight.
Yeah.
And not the lean body mass kind. So, I was like, I don't like to run, but I need to change something up because I need to turn this physique around. So I started doing a lot of bodybuilding stuff, like style of workouts a couple years back. And it's mostly just upper body because my knees hurt. I always had some sort of excuse not to do legs. Yeah. And, so pretty much from there, it just kind of grew. I took 351, found out about powerlifting. I was like, I can compete in a sport where I squat, deadlift, and bench. Hell yeah. And then being a football player, I've had experiences with weightlifting. Mm-hmm. So talking to Anna, talking to Eddie, talking to Adam, I saw an avenue for me to get back into actual weightlifting, like snatch, clean and jerk, just regular cleans. I was like, hell yeah, dude, I'll get into that. And, I ended up deciding to stop doing that. I still encourage people to do it. I mean, I enjoy weightlifting, but for me, I'm trying to train for a competition right now. March 29th is my first competition powerlifting. Nice. So I just want to make sure that everything's pretty much set. I don't overtrain. So all my focus pretty much is on squat, deadlift, bench, variations like that, and trying to make sure that when I get to the competition, I hit my lifts and if I happen to PR, I'd be stoked. But my first competition, I just want to be able to put up some decent numbers and hit all my lifts. So
where's the competition gonna be at?
It's gonna be at Citizen CrossFit in Anaheim.
Okay, so if anything, we could probably make an announcement.
Yeah,
the days leading up to that.
Definitely. Is it just you or somebody else from campus gonna do the competition as well? And then we have Peter's a power lifter. We have Mike Song's a power lifter as well.
Okay, I know Peter. I don't know Mike.
Mike, yeah, he's a big guy.
Sure.
Yeah, just those two guys.
Yeah. I mean, if you could, anybody who comes, like my numbers aren't going to be super comparable to the guys in my weight class, but I mean, for me right now, I'm not really looking at, I want to break
right
or whatnot.
Trying to make the 2016 Olympics.
I'm just trying to put up my numbers and just work from there and start basing my program a little bit differently off of that. So,
Louis Simmons, where you at?
Yeah. Dude, have you ever tried to read outside?
No.
Dude, he just the dude's smart as hell.
Yeah.
But I've read it and I'd like read a page and I'd have to read the page like 3 or 4 times before I'm like, wait a minute, what? Okay, I think I get it now. Mm-hmm. So like, I've tried to look at Elite FTS. Dave Tate breaks it down a little bit, kind of what Louis Simmons talks about. Dr. Goblin turned me on to a guy named I believe AJ Reynolds is his name. He sent me a video of it yesterday, talking about the conjugate system and how to actually properly apply it. And I'm like, okay, it's made it super simple. I'm like, okay, I might try and give that a shot, but I don't know. We'll see. I like looking at different programs and then trying to implement them on myself and try to implement them with some of my athletes. So it's fun. I do enjoy it for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I remember not seeing you as often, or this semester at least, at the weightlifting club. I now, whenever I do see you lifting, it's in the strength room for the athletes, right? The new, really nice.
It's essentially a weightlifting gym that I've turned into my own little powerlifting hub.
Yeah, so I see you there a lot of times, like lifting on your spare time. You are now, I guess, interning there, but it's a class essentially, right? It's an independent study. Can you talk about how you got that job, what your duties are, what your official title there is?
Sure. I mean, I don't really know if I have an official title. I'm just kind of the intern that's there. Mm-hmm. One of the interns that's there. Pretty much I got the gig. I've known Will, I've known Isaac for a while. I'd always try to get down and see, like, I didn't really have much spare time, but the time I did have, I enjoyed going to the weight room and talking to Will about different aspects of lifting and different aspects of programming, stuff like that. And so I had known him, I had a previous relationship with him, prior to getting into this semester. And I talked to him in September, I believe it's September, maybe late August, about getting an internship in the spring. And he's like, hell yeah, dude, like, come on down, like, just make sure you send me an email. I shot him an email, went through all the paperwork and whatnot to make it an independent study. Mm-hmm. So it's actually a class right now. I have to start working on my macro cycle that I'm developing for him. But it's pretty much what happened, and now it's just work with the teams. I do my best to try and help out with the teams as much as possible. Isaac and Will do all the programming for most of the teams. I believe Morgan is involved with some of the programming. He's a grad assistant there for like cross country, tennis, and golf. And pretty much my job is to help them analyze movement. So like, it's 3 pairs of eyes are better than 1 pair of eyes. Yeah, right. So when you have a team of 30-something athletes,
baseball players,
you kind of split it up, and you're like, hey, can you help me watch these 4 guys and make sure that they're moving right? And it's like, all right, for sure. Mm-hmm. So you're trying to minimize injury while they're strength training, so they get the proper adaptations and not be hindered by improper movement. So it's pretty much all that I'm really doing right now. I'm trying to talk to Will about why he programs the way he does, try to pick his mind about why he does the things that he does, just so I can have a better knowledge base. So
as far as what you're doing, it seems like it's all coming together. Being in the weightlifting club, learning the movements, doing it, and now, analyzing it, teaching it, correcting it.
Yeah. I mean, I still wouldn't say I'm super savvy with the weightlifting. I do understand a lot more. I had no idea about like the first pull, second pull transition. I'm like, dude, you pull it off the ground, you make sure your back's flat and go to town. But I've watched a couple different barbell shrugged episodes talking about how to properly do a snatch, how to properly do a clean, how to properly do a jerk. Experience and actually being able, especially being in the weightlifting club and having it drilled into me. I mean, Adam was big on, you're going to learn that the technique is. So it just kind of got drilled into me. So I think doing the motions while also seeing and understanding how the motions work kind of helped me, in terms of being able to correct certain aspects of it. I'm still nowhere near like what Will is. Will see something, and I'm like, I don't even know how the heck he saw that. Yeah, it'll be like something super subtle, and he'll be like, yeah, you're doing this. You need to stop that. I'm like, whoa. Okay, you gotta. I want to be able to see like that. Yeah, I just see the big mistakes still.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to fine tune that a little bit, but it definitely has helped me understand how the proper motion should be, and now it's about fine tuning what I know and trying to figure out what I know and how to correct it better. So.
And just to be clear, you're working in that room, strength training, and you're also doing your athletic training rotations. Are you doing any work still with athletic training?
No, I'm done with athletic.
Okay,
I'm done with all my clinical hours with athletic training. So it's 5 semesters of clinical hours, and then this happens to be my 6th semester. So I have no clinical responsibilities whatsoever with athletic training. I'm still held to the same athletic training standard.
Right.
There's minimum GPA that you have to hit. There's a bunch of different requirements that you have to hit. So I'm still involved in that, and I still talk to Dr. Kersey and Dr. Sang a good amount. In fact, the independent study I'm doing is technically through Dr. Sang. So I still talk to and communicate with them, but for the most part, my clinical hours are done this semester. So I'm just doing that internship there. I'm still working, getting paid, doing some in and out. And that's about it.
Yeah, that's a really nice place to intern, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
So for a place like that, maybe not at a university, maybe like at a different performance center, what kind of recommendations would you give to people looking for those kind of internships or opportunities?
Show that you're hungry to learn and to be there, and then just kind of check your ego at the door. I mean, that's probably what I'd say about anybody trying to get into anything new. Don't go in thinking you know everything, because I guarantee you there are people that probably know more than you. So just kind of check your ego and be willing to learn, be willing to be open and learn, and show that, you know what, if I'm going to be here and I have to clean floors as part of my responsibility, you know what, I'm going to clean the floors better than anybody else. Just take advantage of whatever aspect you can be the best at and be the best at it. And then try to constantly feed yourself with knowledge. Try to pick whoever you're working with, try to pick their brain, because they've been doing it. Will's been doing this for quite a few years now. Isaac's doing this for quite a few years now. Like, they know their programming. They understand why they're doing it. So why not? Why would I go in and try to be like, well, this doesn't make any sense? It's like, I'm going to go in there and be like, hey, why are you doing this? Oh, that's why? Okay, cool. I get the thinking behind it now. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I would say just kind of be curious and constantly try to learn and try to learn from the individuals that you're working with. So,
for sure. That's a really good tip.
Definitely. So, did somebody that you already know Will and them? Is that how you got the internship, or did somebody kind of refer you?
No, I had already known Will, so I didn't really deal with him too much in the athletic training setting. Every once in a while, like one of the athletes would get injured, so I have to go and talk to him. Like, hey, listen, so we probably should steer clear of this just because they have this going on. And for the most part, Will's pretty open about it. Mm-hmm. So I'd met him through that a couple times, and then when I started getting into powerlifting, I starting to lift for strength and trying to figure out how I want to program. I started kind of talking to Will. I know he has a little bit different background. His background is in weightlifting, but he's competed in weightlifting. Mm-hmm. So that's what he does. He competes in weightlifting. He coaches strength and conditioning. So I try to pick his brain about that. And then I just ended up asked him one day, I was like, hey, so is there internship opportunities in the spring? I'd like to be able to intern in here. And he's like, yeah, sure. So just kind of went from there. So I just needed 3 extra units, so that's why I signed up for the independent study.
Yeah. So I guess for people listening, looking for internships, you just kind of have to take initiative. Internships aren't always going to be handed to you. No. You kind of just have to look around and take initiative. Go ask for. I mean, I'm sure there's people always willing to help. Athletic trainers already practicing would like to help other athletic trainers that that they want to be there. Definitely. So just definitely take initiative, I would say.
Especially in the realm of athletic training, like to apply here, you have to have a certain amount of hours under your belt. And I mean, maybe not so much the professional setting. I think they might be a little more stringent on how they allow interns to come by. But I know plenty of high school athletic trainers that have helped me out or have helped other individuals I know out with internships. The junior college is a great place to get internships. Mm-hmm. There's usually even an internship class, so you can get credit for it in terms of units. So for athletic training, the internships typically they're pretty solid. You just got to be able to look, and it's a simple, hey, do you need help? Yeah, can I learn about athletic training? Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Sign up for this class, and then we'll teach you. I mean, that's pretty much the best advice you can get. Just go up, ask.
Just do it, be initiative.
Yeah, if you don't ask, the answer's always no, right?
Exactly.
And if anything, another thing I took away from what you said is that networking is pretty important.
Yes.
It's who you know, but also who likes you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's who you know that'll get you the job. It's what you know that'll keep you the job.
Exactly.
That's what somebody told me once.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah.
I mean, just because you know the best, like, you know the athletic trainer who works for the Bulls, and you try and get in there with the Bulls, but you don't know Jack. You're not going to keep the job.
Exactly.
You know?
No, definitely. I hear you.
Who you know might get you the job, but what you know is going to carry you through. So.
Yeah, definitely. Another thing too that I like to go by is if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah.
You got to be willing to learn. I mean, it's good to teach people, you retain information, but at the end of the day, you could never learn so much. You can never stop learning. There's always room for improvement in anything. So for you, athletic training, you kind of gear towards strength and conditioning, nutrition. That's perfect. You could apply that. You're working with athletes that want to get better, that need the performance, that need the nutrition, besides the prevention and injury.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah,
definitely.
And I mean, I look at I watch Will a lot. I try to do a lot of people watching. I'm not very good at it, but I do try to do it. It's fun to do. But Will will be in his office when he's not if he's not programming or working with an athlete, he's in there watching technique and watching, okay, how can I analyze this technique better? How can I do this better? Mm-hmm. It's just like, dude, I think I just kind of cut myself out a little bit.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'm good? All right. For some reason my headphone got real quiet. But I mean, that's just a good example of don't stop learning.
Yes.
You can always learn something different. You always fine-tune what you know. And for me, I know I'm barely getting into the powerlifting scene. I'm barely starting to powerlift. So I'm going to, if I know somebody who's putting up 800 pounds in a squat, well, I probably should talk to that guy and learn what is it about your technique that gets you there? What is it about your training that gets you there? So it's a matter of just constantly learning and being willing to adjust and being willing to adapt to the situation that you're in.
And I think what makes it easier for people to do that is their passion and love for the major or the subject or whatever it is you're doing. If you're doing it and it just comes out naturally to you, it's because you're very passionate about it. I mean, it's very natural for somebody to do that. I mean, if you're in a major, you don't kind of feel yourself asking for help or wanting to learn more and being eager, then you're probably in the wrong major or the wrong career, whatever it is.
Yeah, I would agree completely with that.
Definitely.
Yeah. So with that in mind, like what's next for you, Dwayne? What do you got going on? You mentioned something about taking a few tests.
Yeah, I'm going to be taking my CSCS and my BOC here coming up in a little bit. I'm going to actually go on the BOC website probably tonight or tomorrow and start the paperwork of getting it signed up. I should be able to, I think August is the next date I'll be able to sign up for, so should be able to sign up for that. Then after that, I mean, for the most part, I'm just going to kind of keep my eyes open for preferably like a little strength conditioning gig or athletic training gig. Try to keep my options open, work for a little bit. I just want to be able to get out of school and work for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then come back, go to do some grad school work and go from there. But that's the plan right now. I mean, I don't really have anything set in stone, but.
You graduated in May, right? Walking?
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm finally going to be finishing up and can't wait to.
Apply what you learned all this time,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Try to pay off your debt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got loans that need to get paid off.
Yeah. In the meantime, you're just still progressing with your powerlifting, macrocycle, mesocycles.
Yeah, I'm utilizing, a deadlift circuit or a deadlift program that I found on Elite FTS. See if it works, see if I can end up PRing. I'm actually going to talk to Dr. Statler about some sports psych stuff just so I don't end up getting in my own head before the meet.
Yeah. Definitely.
Because that's one thing I don't want to do is like get up there and be like, oh crap, I've done this weight before in practice, but now I'm like, there's a bunch of people here. I don't want to start freaking out. So I'm going to try to just get different techniques to try to just kind of keep myself calm and keep myself progressing. That way when I get to the meet, it's like, okay, you know what? I've done this weight before. I know I can do it. Let's try to hit even a bigger weight. So that's kind of the aspect of it right now. And we'll see where it goes from there.
Awesome. So, if somebody wants to find you, are you on Instagram, any social media, or anything like that? We can.
I'm on no social media.
Okay, we gotta get him on track with that.
I tried looking him up, dude, trying to get his bio. Nope, couldn't find it. No, I feel like if people do have questions, follow-up questions about the program, like training, coaching, internships, I don't know, we could probably use your email address in the future or something.
Yeah, definitely. You can put it up. It's fine.
Send them your way because I feel like you have tons of knowledge and while you're still here, it's good for somebody, to get a hold of you.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to help out whoever I can.
Definitely.
Yeah. Any last words of advice for anybody listening, incoming freshmen, whether it's kinesiology, athletic training, coaching?
Stay hungry.
Stay hungry, yeah.
Perfect.
Stay hungry. Always be hungry for knowledge. I mean, we're talking about nutrition. Always be hungry for some good food.
Yeah.
Just keep your mind open and always have a good attitude. Never let the bad times get you down too low. Because there's good times are way better. So
yeah,
that's the best I got right now.
Yeah, that's a good way to wrap up this episode. Thank you, Luis, for being here, dude.
Yeah, finally, right?
Usually it's always just
I'll try to be a little more consistent.
But thank you, Dwayne. Appreciate your time, bro. Appreciate you.
Glad I could help out, guys.
So we'll see you guys soon. Thank you for listening.